whether that's real estate, whether that's starting a franchise, owning a business, whatever it is,
Mm.
I can't pursue my passion because I have a job, that the golden handcuffs. I mean, last year alone, how many people got laid off?
Welcome to the Stephen Lee Thomas Show, where we provide expert advice for real estate entrepreneurs. And I'm your host, Stephen Lee Thomas. And it wasn't that long ago that I was navigating the challenges of real estate investing, learning from my mistakes, and building the business I have today. I created the show to give you simple, actionable, step-by-step strategies to help you do the same. Each week, we bring you in-depth discussions with industry leaders and professionals who share their knowledge and practical tips. So sit back, take notes, and let's dive into today's episode.
And today I brought Charlie on today. We're going to talk about real estate investing. We're going to talk about mind state of real estate investing. One of the biggest obstacles to being a successful real estate investor and going full time is your mindset. And today's guest not only is a full-time real estate investor, but he was able to go full time as a real estate investor, right as the commercial real estate market was beginning to take a nosedive. So I'm super excited to have him on today. Charlie, thanks so much for joining me today.
Absolutely.
Really appreciate it. I'll give you a quick bio of Charlie. So Charlie, you spent some time working in the corporate world. You got 12 years working in the corporate world. You had an IT background, so obviously you're pretty smart there. You spent 5 years in the Army. You had 2 deployments to Afghanistan, so you've definitely seen some conflict. You've been investing in real estate since 2017. Since then, you've been able to invest in over 1,000 doors across 6 properties. And in 2022, and I want to find out more about this, but in 2022, you left your full-time job to pursue real estate. Your company works with passive investors and helps them achieve financial freedom through cash flowing properties. Charlie, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, man. Excited to be here.
Charlie, you want to give us a little bit more background about you?
Yeah, I'll try to keep it short. But I'm based in Nashville now, grew up in Dallas. The corporate world never really fit my personality. I've had several great jobs, great employers, bosses, and colleagues, but it just never really fit my personality, I'll say. One thing I've always liked about real estate is the control that it offers. Gives you options, right? If you want to work, you can. If you don't want to work, you don't necessarily have to, depending on your portfolio and a number of things. But it just real estate gives you that flexibility and that control that corporate America doesn't necessarily give you, at least starting out. So I've been in real estate since 2017. That was had some single family homes, sold most of those, but we're in 6 properties, or almost 6. We're going to close on a self-storage pretty soon, development project. So love the commercial real estate for sure.
Interesting, Charlie. You had mentioned that the W-2 world doesn't give you some of the flexibility you're looking for, but it does give you some stability. Would you agree with that?
It can. Yeah. A lot of people said or say, I can't do A, B, and C. I can't pursue my passions, right? Whether that's real estate, whether that's starting a franchise, owning a business, whatever it is. I can't pursue my passion because I have a job, that the golden handcuffs. I mean, last year alone, how many people got laid off? I was in IT sales for years. I actually don't have a number, but it seemed like literally every week, Amazon or Google or someone was laying off, not like a couple hundred people, but like thousands and thousands of people.
Waves.
Yeah. And so, I haven't heard that too much recently, but if you're just starting out in the corporate world, yeah, sure, you can, your low pay may be okay. If you go to a new team or a new company, you may be one of the first to be let go. So that stability can be there for sure. It also depends on I think what industry you're in IT sales, you have phenomenal career stability. You can always sell something. But what happens if you're working at a startup and that goes under, right? Your skills transfer, but you have to find a new job. And so that
Right.
stability, I would kind of challenge that and say, you're supposed to have stability, but that doesn't mean you will have stability.
Well, okay, so I love that because we're on the topic of mindset today. So you just challenge the mindset that the W-2 has stability. And I can relate to that. I come from the corporate world, the corporate background, and I have seen waves of layoffs within, my corporate experience. And to think that you have a guaranteed position in a W-2 job is a fallacy for sure. That it is not a guarantee. But what you've done is you decided I'm going to be in control of my destiny and I'm going to go after these things, and you've gone into real estate investing. So what I want to do, Charlie, is the reason why I brought you on, the last 2 years of commercial real estate, specifically in apartments, it's kind of sucked. I mean, that's my perspective of it. I don't know if you agree or disagree, but it's been very, very, very challenging. And I saw that you went full time in 2022. And the market basically peaked the end of 2021 and the beginning of 2022. And it's been on its way down ever since. And I think we're at the bottom. I'm not quite sure if there's still more to go down, but I think we're at the bottom. And I mean, you and I, we're in a WhatsApp group. We've got about 300 or so apartment investors in it. And it seems like at least once a week, maybe a couple times a week, there's a news that comes out, oh, so-and-so lost another property, right? So-and-so had to sell their property for a loss. And I can tell you, I even have, partners who on some other investments that I'm not part of, they've had properties they've actually had to been foreclosed on. So for, how has that impacted you? What's been going on in the real estate market?
Oh man. Previously you could buy a property and hold it for 2 days and sell it at a profit, right? I mean, that was not really 2 days, but you could go in there and do some work and turn it around pretty quickly. Because inflation was so massive a couple years ago. Way to combat inflation is to raise interest rates, but when you raise interest rates, that impacts the market. And the real estate market, because we're in commercial properties. We have a lot of investors that invest alongside us, and we've forecasted or projected certain returns. And so if we're forecasting those returns, and not just us, by the way, there's thousands of people doing this, right?
Mhm.
And so because interest rates have gone up, the value of the properties have gone down. You can force appreciation, and the property still goes down in value because the cap rates are expanding again. And so what
Well, you got the
happens is,
opposite of that. Cap rates have not, or I guess cap rates are expanding. They're not compressing. Cap rates are expanding. So
right,
you can generate more net operating income, but it doesn't mean your property's necessarily gone up in value. In fact, good chance it's gone down in value.
right, exactly. So you can still do a great job and execute your business plan, but because of where the market is today, you're a lot, to your point, a lot of even good operators are getting foreclosed on,
Yeah.
or they're not hitting returns. And so it becomes not so much of, oh, great, I'm going to double my money in 5 years or less, but can I get my initial investment out in 5 years or less? Right.
Right.
And look, I'm not, that's not across the board. That's a generalization, but that's what some investors are kind of asking themselves now. Can I even get my money back? Are we going to foreclose? And so I think, when I jumped in, deal flow was crazy. I could underwrite deals every day. But going back to investors aren't able to hit those returns in many cases, even after completing their business plan. Now they're holding on to them longer because the value of that property has not hit the target value, right? So they're not selling it, and so deal flow has gone down drastically. But then the other side of that is, what happens if after 2 years or 3 years you have completed your business plan? Do you sell it, or do you hold on to it for another year or two or longer? And that's what I think a lot of people are trying to figure out right now. If they're in a decent spot, they're trying to figure out, okay, what's the next step? Do we refinance it? Do we sell it? Or, what's the timeline?
So needless to say, it's not easy right now. It's very challenging. So then what has been the most challenging part of maintaining a positive mindset given everything that's happening in the market right now?
Yeah, what's interesting about that question, Stephen, is there's always stuff that goes on in markets, right? And it comes down to asset management. How good was your business plan at the beginning? Have you executed it? There's always going to be issues. But how have you done what you can do? Because from the market side of things, I can't control the cap rates. I can't control the interest rates. If I can, we'd be in a different place right now. So I can't control that, but everything in my power, I do want to control, and I want to do a great job at that. Right. So sometimes it can be tough to remain positive, but at the end of the day, I know that I can sleep well because our property, we've had terrible time with one of the properties, fluctuating rates. We got a bridge loan. We bought a good interest rate cap. And we had a lot of vacancy up front. But now the property's doing extremely well. We've never been close to going into foreclosure or missing a payment. The only thing that we can really hope for is that the market goes up. So everything in our control, we've done well, or we're doing well now. So we're focused on what we can and cannot, or what we can control, and we're not focused on what we can't control.
So it's really good. Reframing it is looking at, like you just said, what can you control, and then take control of that. So a lot of people have gotten into real estate in the last couple of years. I've seen some comments of some groups you and I belong to where people have straight said, I'm no longer going to be in this group. I've lost tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars. Best of luck to the rest of you. So what is it you think, these new real estate investors that are coming in, what's like the one thing you think that they're doing wrong as soon as they encounter their first major obstacle?
I think the path to become wealthy in real estate is there. Doesn't mean it's going to happen in a year or 2 years or 3 years, heck, even 15 years, right? So I think a lot of times people will give up or take a step back. I know someone that in the crash in 07, 08, they bought a property in 06, lost it, or they lost money on a couple deals that they bought, and they've never been back in the game. Well, what happens if they held on to those and these were single family homes, not commercial properties. What happens if they held on to those homes for 15, 20 years? And let's just say they sold it today, even in a down market, they would probably triple or quadruple their money. And so real estate, it is a long game. And so don't be short-sighted about it. Focus on what's your goal, what's your plan in life, right? If when you're 65, what do you want your life to look like? Real estate can help get you there. It's not going to happen overnight. And if you have 1 or 2 setbacks, doesn't mean you got to get out. Just means either look at your approach or maybe keep at your approach.
It's
you can
not
always
a
tweak it.
Get rich quick. It's you're in it for the long haul. Like there's another expression I've heard. It has to do with you buy and hold. Basically, it's buy and hold real estate. Hold it for the long run. And another thing I've heard is in 2009, 2010, when the market came back up, nobody was saying, I wish I wouldn't have, nobody was saying, I wish that I wasn't able to buy properties, right? Everybody at that point in time was thinking, man, I wish I had a ton of money so I could just buy up all of these properties. If you can buy properties in a down market, that's a different way to look at it. If you can buy properties in a down market, you're going to end up much further ahead. And so I personally think that even if we have a little ways to go down, which we may. I don't think it's going to be a whole lot, but to your point, within a year to 2 years, I think we'll be definitely on our way back up. And most of these apartments are written at a 5-year hold underwriting model. I think if you were to buy something now and hold it for 5 years, you'd probably end up doing pretty good. You just got to get through the hump right now.
Right.
So, Charlie, what's the one piece of advice, if you had one piece of advice to offer real estate investors to help them overcome adversity and stay resilient? I mean, like I said, you went full time when the market started to turn down. If there's somebody who can speak to this, it would be you.
One piece of advice to help overcome adversity. It's like I said, it's not something that I got into real estate thinking I'm going to get rich quick and I'll be a billionaire in 15 years. Right. So the one piece of advice I would offer to someone that maybe is new or newer or just struggling is figure out your long-term plan and your long-term goal. What do you want your life to look like? If you want to leave your job sooner rather than later, focus on cash flow. If you want to work really hard now and then, set yourself up to be passive down the road, great. Maybe get into syndications, learn everything you can about syndications today, get into deals today. So then that way, when your kids are older, you have kids, or maybe they're out of the house and you want to travel, you can then invest passively. And you already have the knowledge of the acting, of being a general partner. So you know what to look for and what not to look for. So I think, and this is not even specifically for real estate investors, I guess, but for real estate investors, understand your long-term goals, your long-term plans. And then when you when you hit obstacles and barriers, they're just bumps in the road. It's not this massive, wall to stop people, right? Walls are not meant to keep you out. They're meant to keep the people out that don't want to break down the wall, right? So just have a plan and know the plan might not be a 2-year plan. It might be a 20-year plan.
Yeah, I love what you just said there. Walls are meant to keep the people out that the people that aren't willing to put in the work to knock down the wall, or the people to figure out a way to get around the wall. And I totally agree with you on that. It's all of those setbacks or opportunities to learn and become a better version of yourself. So one final thought here. This is something I've talked about in the past. This is not an easy path. There's people will paint the picture that it's rainbows and unicorns. Hey, come join this program. You're gonna make millions of dollars. It's bullshit. That's just be honest. It's not. Very few people come in and just hit the ground running. Most of them have some experience that they lean on heavily to be able to do that. So can you just one final thought on mindset and talk a little bit about the difference between an investor and an entrepreneur? Because I think I know where you're at, but I want to hear from you. What is the difference between people who are investing and those who are entrepreneurs?
Ooh, I love this topic. An investor is someone, and this is not in any dictionary. Okay. An investor is someone that will invest in real estate or in a business or whatever it is. But they're really focused on I'm going to call it short term, and maybe that short term is 5 years, right? They're not, maybe it's 3 months if you're trying to wholesale. An entrepreneur is someone that is going to, they have their goals in mind, right? Those goals aren't 5-year goals. They're 50-year goals, 30-year goals. Entrepreneurs are people that, and we've talked about the fluctuations in the market and trying to stay positive and overcome adversity and all that. Entrepreneurs, they welcome those challenges and that adversity because it weeds out competition, weeds out investors that don't want to keep their head down and get after that massive goal. Entrepreneurs welcome bumps in the road because it makes them better, right? They then have to learn how to do something better. Maybe that's underwriting, and they take time to design a better underwriting tool or buy one, or maybe it's how to create content, or how to overcome that mindset, right? Instead of just saying, oh man, this sucks. This is way too hard. I thought I was going to make $1 million in the first 6 hours in real estate, and I didn't. Entrepreneurs, they're focused on the end goal and welcome any chance to get better anytime.
Awesome. I love it. Charlie, thanks so much for taking the time to join me today, share your golden nugget, your insights, your tips and tricks. Charlie, anybody that's watching this live or watching the replay, how can they get a hold of you and learn more about you and how you can help them?
Yeah, if you're on Facebook, you can just find me on Facebook, Charlie Hardage. I'm on LinkedIn, Charlie Hardage, or you could go to the website, hkigllc.com.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, everyone, I appreciate you tuning in live or listening to the replay of this. Make sure that you follow us on social media. We are on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and YouTube. Look for Stephen Lee Thomas Capital, and you will find more tips and tricks to help you be a better real estate investor and entrepreneur. Thanks so much, Charlie.
Thanks, man.
Thanks for tuning in to the Stephen Lee Thomas Show today. And if you found value in today's episode, then I have a favor to ask you. Please share it with friends, family, and anyone who might benefit from the insights we shared today. Also, don't forget to subscribe and leave a review if you enjoyed the show. And if you aren't already part of our school community, then head on over to school.com/multifamily mastery hub and join today. And again, thanks for tuning in, and I look forward to connecting with you in our school community.